Wake up. The entire world is lost, and it's not going to get any better because you're worshiping the wrong God. If you really want to be wealthy and you want to be a powerful man in this world, start a religion. So today, when you're seeing the Catholic Church is worshiping God, Dios, no, they're worshiping Zeus. So that's why we have churches, which we call a theater. It's like a movie house. It's a big theater. Everyone comes in, pays whatever they can, and they sit and watch a show. So the bottom line is, for all Christians and all people who love God, you better go back and do your homework, because you are worshiping the wrong God. If you're a Catholic, you're worshiping Dagon, D-A-G-O-N, Dagon. If you're Protestant, you're worshiping Dagon, but you're also worshiping Zeus. So Zeus is the God of the Bible. Today, the Old Testament is the Bible testament about Zeus, the god Zeus. And you go back and look in Job, and you will see that Job was worshiping the god Zeus. And the ancient peoples that are in the Old Testament were worshipers of the god Zeus. The whole Middle East was worshiping the god Zeus. Zeus in Latin becomes Deus, D-E-U-S. Instead of Zeus, Z-E-U-S, it's D-E-U-S. Zeus is Deus in Latin, and Dios in Latin becomes God. So today, when you're seeing the Catholic Church is worshiping God, Dios, no, they're worshiping Zeus. So the bottom line is that our religions have been given to us by the same people who gave us our educational institutions, our banking, our insurance companies, our governmental system, and who have put together our military-industrial complex and control the earth through communication, through words and terms, and give us our laws and our court system, and they also give you your religion. Wake up. The entire world is lost, and it's not going to get any better because you're worshiping the wrong gods. It's an incredible story about how mankind is self-centered, egotistical, and refuses and will not accept the fact that they have made a mistake. They have screwed up and made a mistake, and that's why the whole entire world today is at war with each other. So, and let me throw this in. The Apostle Paul, when trying to teach the people of his day, Christians of his day, they thought about him the way a lot of people think about you and me. And he said to them in the scriptures, have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Is that what's happening? If I am here to tell you the truth and I am now your enemy because I tell you the truth? I mean, we now know that the one thing that most people don't want to hear, they want to hear all kinds of things. But the one thing people, generally speaking, have never wanted to hear, and they're not interested to hear today, generally speaking, is the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. They even put it in movies. You can't handle the truth. Well, the idea is that's true. That is a correct understanding of the history of mankind. People turn away from the truth. They don't want to see that they're alcoholics. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to even go near it. If they're strung out on drugs, they don't want to talk about the fact that they're a drug addict. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to see it. And people, if they're in business with other people who are criminals, they don't want to see it. They don't want to know what their husband's really doing, what the wife is actually doing. They don't want to hear it. They've heard that people want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. So if you're going to be a success in this world and buy jet planes and fly all over the world and vacation 90% of your life away vacationing on the Riviera, and you want to live a high life, then get into religion like what's his name? Who founded the Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard, yeah.
So if you really want to be wealthy and you want to be a powerful man in this world, start a religion. Because people love stories. And Rodney Dangerfield said something I thought was really clever. He said, faith is, I learned about faith when I was a kid. And he said, faith is that wonderful quality. What is faith? He said, that's that wonderful quality that allows you to believe something that you know is bold, but you believe it anyway because of faith. Then I come to find out, no, you really don't even understand what the word faith means. It's an ancient Greek word, and it doesn't mean what you think it means at all. It has nothing to do with what you, as a Christian, call faith. What you call faith is hoping for something. You're hoping and you're praying that something will happen. You're hoping and you're praying, you're hoping. That's not faith. The word faith is a Greek word which means basically when you get up in the morning, when you wake up, you put your feet on the floor without looking at the floor. That is what an act of, in the Greek word is faith, meaning you put your foot on the floor without looking to see if there was a floor. Why? Because it's always been there. I mean, every morning of your life, the floor is there. So it's always been there. So why even think about it? You just get up and do whatever you're going to do and don't even think about the floor. Well, that's what the word faith means in Greek. It means get up and do whatever your heart tells you to do, whatever your spirit wants you to do. Just get up and go do it. Because God has always been there, and God will always be there before your great-grandmother was born and after you die. That divine presence that we call God has always been here for the millions of years and will be here for millions of years, so you don't have to worry about looking to see if God's here. Just get up and go do whatever the Spirit tells you to do, whatever it is, and if it's right, then it'll be successful, and if it's not, it won't be successful. But you'll have faith. In other words, just get up and do what you think you should do, and that's it. And so that's why we have the story of Jesus walking on water.
Right.
And if you remember in the story in the Bible, it says that there were a few apostles, and they were all fishermen, and they were in a boat, and Peter was in the boat with them, and they saw Jesus coming, walking toward them on water. And it says, and in the Bible it says, Peter saw it was Jesus, he's walking on water, so he got out, and he jumped out the boat, and he walked on water. And it says, and Peter was walking on water, doing just fine. He's walking on water, walking toward Jesus, and Jesus is walking on the water toward him. And then it says, and then he looked down. The scripture says, Peter looked down and saw and realized he's walking on water. And you can't do that. Well, he was walking on water until he looked down and saw he was walking on water. Then he began to slip. He began to slide into the water. Why? And Jesus said, you of little faith. When you have faith, you just got up and come walking toward me, and you were walking on water. But now that you think about it, now that you're looking at what you're doing, you're thinking about it, now you're questioning the integrity and the intelligence of doing something. Now you're starting to slide in. Now you're reaching out to me to help you and to save your life because you're going to drown. Why? Because you've lost your faith. Faith means just get up and do what you want to, period. Because whatever you do, that was God's will anyway.
Well, see,
so whatever it is, and then if you want to understand correctly what you should do and not do, then go to the zodiac and find out who you are, what sign you were born under. And there's a lot of misunderstanding in the zodiac today, a lot of misunderstanding. That's what the scripture says in Isaiah. One comes to my mind right now in the book of Isaiah in the Old Testament. God says, I am the God who creates all things. I create the living, I create the dead. I cause people to die, I cause people to be born. I cause good, I cause evil. I create peace, I create war. I do it all, period. End of sentence. I am God and I do it all. That's what it says in Isaiah. I have done everything myself. The good, the evil, the dark, the sexual, all of this is in me. It's all part of what I have designed in the universe. Period. So have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? If you remember, Jesus said, that your enemies will be those of your own household. That's a scripture in the Bible, in the New Testament, where Jesus said, the man's enemies will be those of his own household, his own friends, his own family, his own brother, his own sister, his own mother. These will be your enemies, the people who are in the dark, and I have come to bring light into the world, and light means intellectual intelligence, enlightenment, and the people are in the dark and they don't want to see the light. They are not interested. So Jesus said, if they had listened to me, they would listen to you. So the slave is no greater than his master. What they have done to me, they will do to you. So therefore, if you want to take on the life that Jesus lived and live like him, then go around telling people the truth and see how far you're going to get. See how much money you're going to make. See how many times people are going to hire you and support you. Yeah, give it a try. Watch and see how many people are going to support you. Out of 100 people, there might be 2 that will actually see what you're saying and get the sense of it. Because Jesus said, you have eyes, but you don't see. You listen with your ears, but you don't hear. And with your heart, you don't get the sense of it. So if the people had listened to me, they would listen to you. And understand, I have a very high respect for what we call God or the spirit world. I have a very definite respect and admiration for the universe and for the universal laws that our life on the earth implies, that there is a highly intelligent creator, and of that I have no doubt, and I have the highest respect for that creator and for the things that one has created. So I am not against religion. I'm not against God. I'm not against religion or spirituality. I'm an author and a lecturer and a teacher on the history of the world we live in. So I love the idea of God. I'm just trying to explain to you that men have used that subject to mislead you, and that's what I'm trying to do, is wake you up to the real truth of the life you really live. That's all I'm trying to do, is educate you. People are believing things. As I said, if you go into a church, they will say that you're a believer. In Christianity, if you adhere to the Christian doctrine, going to a church, you are what is called a believer. Why did they call you a believer? Because it's obvious you don't know anything, but you are given to believe in something. You're given to believe that you know and understand something. But when you go back to specialized schools and go to seminary libraries like I do for years and years, I was living in seminary libraries where they have all the big, huge reference works, encyclopedias, concordances, and dictionaries in the Bible and theology and religion. And you just start looking at all the religions of the world and the things that they teach, and then go and look in the big encyclopedias of religion and theology and look at the words and the terms and the concordances in the Bible. And then you begin to, if you're writing down all that you're learning about different subjects, one day you're going to come up with boxes filled with handwritten documents and handwritten notes that are telling you all of the belief systems in the world, where they're really coming from. Because you begin to see the connection between Hinduism and Judaism, between Hinduism and Christianity, between Islam and Hinduism. You begin to see all the connections going back into the ancient world. And then you begin to also see the lies, the misunderstandings, the purposeful misstating of facts. So how many people know that, and how many people care? And what does that mean for the belief system you have today? Well, that quite simply means that you don't know what's going on. You have no idea in the world what happened the first 600 or 700 years of Christianity. Has never been told to you. You don't know where the Vatican comes from. You have no idea about the fall of the Roman Empire. and why it fell and what the name of the tune is for America today and why we are today nothing more than a Roman Empire even today. The United States government is a Vatican Jesuit institution, period. End of sentence. And anybody who's ever done any research on Washington, D.C. and the founding of America know that the Vatican is the bottom line for the rule in America, which ultimately influences the whole world. So I'm just saying that there's a lot more for us to learn. Excuse me, and I'm telling you, I think the reason why it's so difficult for people to learn new tricks, we say old dogs don't learn new tricks. I'm just saying that when you look at the religions today, just have an open mind and understand that nothing we're reading today, nothing we understand today is what it was 2,000 years ago. In the first century, the first 100 years of Christianity bears no resemblance to Christianity today at all, period. Totally different, totally different. As I've said in the past discussions, that the word the in Greek is God. And so we get our word the. And so the emphasizes something important. We have facts, but then this is the fact. And so the is in something important because in Greek, the is God. So that's why we have churches, which we call a theater. It's like a movie house. It's a big theater. Everyone comes in, pays whatever they can, and they sit and watch a show. And it's a theater. It's a God show. And so they're putting on the God show, and they light candles and sing hymns, and it makes people feel very holy and feel good about themselves, and they're there with their friends and their neighbors, and so it's kind of like a fraternal order. It's kind of like a Masonic order or a club in which everyone is there to encourage each other, and they all feel good about each other's company. But nobody, including the priests and the clergy, actually know where these words have come from, why we have candles in a service, and the connection between candles on an altar is people have no idea where the concept of the candle came from. And they have no idea what the ritual singing of hymns has to do with mind control and the frequencies of mind control, and why churches are built on the particular way they are built with the steeples. And steeples represent, according to dictionaries and encyclopedias, will tell you that church steeples represent a male. How many people know that? So the point I'm making is the entire superstructure of what we call the religious world, be it Christian or Jewish or Hindu, all has to do with the phenomenally basic world we live in. And it's all designed for the picking of the people for what they want. They know not everybody's going to want to be what everybody else is. So they have to provide the human family with all kinds of alternatives and ideas. And some people don't like this and that. That sounds like Jehovah's Witnesses. So people will join the Jehovah's Witnesses. Some people don't like this and that about the government. Well, that sounds like Seventh-day Adventists. So they got a church to go to, Seventh-day Adventists. And then they found out that, no, this and that's wrong, so we don't like this and that. Well, that sounds like the Church of God in Pasadena. And so when you're through with this, at the end of the period of time, for 2,000 years, we have all kinds of religions. I once read it was like 2,400 so-called Christian religions and cults around the world. 2,400 different Christian churches and ideas around the world. And all the different religious groups, they all hate each other. It's a monstrosity of ignorance that the human race is involved in. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to extricate ourselves out of this mess, because wisdom and knowledge is the only thing that's going to help you. And the people have no knowledge. Even the scripture says, my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. They haven't got the faintest idea in the world what is really going on the earth that they live on. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just wake people up to the fact that you're not intellectually honest and you really don't know what's going on. And you really actually should go back to school and learn how to read. And if you can read, then put down the magazines and the Paris Hilton stories in your local supermarket, and start reading the encyclopedias and dictionaries, and go to a library. My God, you still today have a world of knowledge out there on the web. All the encyclopedias of the world are on the web. The dictionaries of the world are all there in every language. And the people are more ignorant today than they've ever been. So that tells me that most of the web is being used for entertainment, and almost nothing out there is being used to educate the human mind. Well, first of all, if you go to, again, encyclopedias of history, going back to the Roman Empire, go to the early history of the Christian church, and you will find that in Rome, the earliest Christians, this is from an encyclopedia, not from me. The earliest Christians were referred to by Romans as atheists. They did not believe in God. Why? They were atheists. Why? Is because they did not believe in the Roman gods. And since in Rome, the Romans understood thoroughly that their gods, the many different gods of the ancient Roman Empire, was absolutely, definitively, without a doubt, absolute gods. And if you did not accept the Roman gods as an absolute truth, then you were obviously, in point of fact, an atheist, because you do not believe in Rome's gods. And so today, when somebody makes a statement that I am an atheist, when my whole life I have said over and over again, I have the highest respect for the presence in the universe of what men have called God. But you need to define your terms. When I define God, I mean some sort of an unseen, absolutely profoundly wise and intriguingly simple, powerful presence around us. It kind of overshadows, I like that term, it overshadows our life. It doesn't slap you around, it doesn't make you do things, but it's as if something is watching you all your life, where you're going, what you're doing, and watching what you're catering yourself to. And it is some kind of a spiritual presence that you feel, that the universe is being overseen by some kind of a higher power, some sort of a higher. And why? Because there were too many things which happen which imply an intelligent stuff going on all around you that you're not aware of. I mean, there's all kinds of experiences people have today in their life. They keep seeing certain numbers. Some people see certain numbers keep coming up in their life. Some people seem to have premonitions of the future, and they see things which are going to happen. There are people who are psychics who can read your mind. There are all kinds of strange phenomena which we live with every day and people experience every day, which has no explanation whatsoever. And of course, the Marxist, Leninist, communist people of America, who couldn't care less about God or anything spiritual at all, They say the whole thing is all a bunch of bull and it has nothing to do with anything on the earth. Well, I say no, I beg to differ. There are too many things going on in this earth and in the lives of every person on the earth. And everybody I meet tells me, boy, I had this strange experience when somebody came into my life and did this or that, and I saw this or that, and I had these strange premonitions. So I know that there's just too much going on with the human family that defies imagination. So I, like all other men who care, I have to assume that there is some kind of an overshadowing intelligence watching us. And it gives to each one according to his deed. You do things good for people, people will come back and do good things for you. If you go out and hurt other people will come in and hurt you. So it's like a laws in the universe. What goes around comes around. And why is that in everybody's life? Does somebody keep track of every single human? Yes. Somehow or another, there is a continual monitoring of human life on the earth, and everybody gets what's coming to them eventually. So there's too many things that I know and I've seen with my own eyes that tells me. There's a classic example, and let me give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say something is overshadowing us. Listen to what I'm going to tell you. You may have heard this before, but if you haven't, listen closely. If you've never heard this, then listen closely. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy each contain 7 letters. Both presidents were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives of both presidents lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot. President Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both successors to both presidents were both named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, 3 names, Lee Harvey Oswald, was born in 1939, exactly 100 years apart. Both assassins were known by their 3 names. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at a theater called Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car made by Ford called Lincoln. John Wilkes Booth ran from a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. All of these coincidences are not coincidences. This all seems to be telling you a story, that things are happening all around you and they're mysterious. Why these dates? Why these connections behind the scenes? So the world is filled with strange things. Like I said, the book, the complete works of Charles Fort, give you a whole book full of things which have never been figured out why they happen. So I'm just saying that the world is being overshadowed by something that mankind calls God. But you have no idea what that word means. You have no real idea about what you're talking about. So you need to define your terms and wake up and and train yourself to be intellectually honest And then you will always see how much you don't know, how much you don't understand. And then you will begin to ask questions, and that's what the human brain was designed to do, is wake up, grow up, become adult, and ask questions and begin to train your mind to be intellectually honest and look at the facts and look up the facts. Like Steve Allen used to say, there are two kinds of facts, the kind you look up and the kind you make up. And so you really need to understand where the words come from. As I said to you before, Christians go to church, but have no idea in the world where the word church really actually in fact came from and what it actually means and what it's based on. And it's referred to as Mother Church. I have no idea in the world why Mother Church is a female, and why, when you go to a church, you will see the windows of a church and the opening door of a church are usually pointed arches, and therefore it's the pointed arches that you're entering into Mother Church. The pointed arches windows, pointed arch doors represent the female, the pointed arch. And so the pointed arch is a symbol for Mother Church, Mother Nature. I'm just saying that once you break down these words and terms and symbols, catchphrases, and begin to look at the history of where your religion came from, you're going to find, like everybody else in the world, there's very, very few people who actually have done their homework and understand what it is they think they believe, and at least can understand, make a decent proposal for you to understand what they believe. Most people just believe something. They don't know what they believe. They have no idea where any of it comes from. And that's all I'm trying to do, is to point up to people how much they don't know. I've done a lot of research on words and terms and symbols and catchphrases. There's just an enormous amount of material on my research society. That's the best I can do. I will go to my grave doing the best work I can possibly do to provide for people information and where to go to get the knowledge, the best I can. I know I've been all over the world giving lectures on this subject, and everywhere I go, I see the same problems. People really believe whatever it is that their culture believes in, or whatever that culture has adopted as their national religion, etc. Everybody is staunchly connected to that, and they believe it's the absolute truth. And yet you get on the plane and go to another country nearby, and they've got a whole different view on everything. And they are fighting for it, boy. They'll fight you to protect their understanding of their culture and the way they see things. But, where does this stuff end? Because obviously nobody has got the truth. I mean, I came across that many years ago. So many people are looking for truth. Yeah, that's fine. But if you think you have found the ultimate knowledge on the world and the ultimate knowledge of the universe, scientists will dare to tell you that what we believe scientifically could be proved 15 years ago is nothing but the misunderstanding today. We now understand we didn't know this, we didn't know that, we didn't understand this. So what we believed 15, 20 years ago is totally wrong. Well, that's in science, and now those are people who study their subject, and they were wrong. Then what about religion? Thousands of years ago, people have no idea in the world where religions have come from, why we say certain things we do. It's just an extraordinary situation that the human family finds itself in. And the use of words, and I've been talking about this for years, the use of words, you need to look at the words you use and understand where they came from.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on this channel. Thank you for watching.